Hi, I'm Jonty.
I'm Laura.
And I'm Malky.
And we put together a magazine called Shibboleth. If you're watching this on video, then we're holding up some of our favorite copies now. If you're listening to it on audio, imagine the best magazine you've ever seen. We are a Christian leftist magazine. If your politics are leftist, if your politics are liberatory, if your faith is deconstructed or progressive, I think you would like Shibboleth magazine, and you can check us out at shibbolethmag.com. And we are sponsoring, with no money, this episode of Bread and Rosaries.
Shibbolethmag.com.
Reconstructing.
Resisting.
Renewing our minds.
Hello and welcome to Bread and Rosaries, the left Christian podcast with at least two hosts that no one can tell the difference between. I'm Ben Molyneux Hetherington, or possibly, if you can't tell from my voice, I might be Adam. It's unclear. And I'm joined by possibly Adam, might be Ben. No one can tell the difference. Hello, Adam. How you doing?
Hello. How are you doing? I'm all right.
And for people listening at home, they might well believe that's just me talking to myself. Like I've told by multiple people, they can't tell the difference between us. And the reason I bring this up is that we are joined by the wonderful hosts of your second favourite podcast and the creators of your favourite magazine. We've got the guys from Shibboleth and Beer Christianity here. And I had the thought the other day that one of the main advantages Beer Christianity has is that all three of you have completely different accents. So you're very distinguishable as podcast hosts.
True.
Whereas no one can tell this between me and Adam. So I don't know, I'm going to just introduce you in the order
I think
we've got
you're
you
a
on
bit
screen.
posher than I am, Ben. Excuse me.
Oh, I definitely am a bit posher than you, but people can't tell on the recordings. That's what I've been told by multiple people.
Clean their fucking ears out.
I'm going to go in the order that you're on my screen. So, hello, Laura. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello, I'm Laura. I am one of the hosts of Beer Christianity. I'm one of the people who does Shibboleth. There's not really much else to say about me.
But you've now put pressure on Jonty and Malky to come with different intros because you've stolen the main one.
Yeah, I did. But they, in fairness, have more things to say about themselves. I do like two things, and that's all I do. And, they have much more interesting, fulfilling lives than I do.
Well, let's find out if that's true. Jonty, is that true? Do you have an interesting, fulfilling life?
Well, now I feel like a dick because yes, I do. No, I am the editor of Shibboleth magazine, and I'm one of the co-hosts of Beer Christianity, and I occasionally appear on other podcasts and write for other publications from a kind of Christian left perspective. I guess that's what I got going on. That's it.
And I was trying to. I think, is this your third appearance on our podcast? I genuinely can't remember. But
I don't know. Yeah,
you are racking up the numbers quite effectively.
I am loving it. We are also going to have you guys on our podcast when we get it together enough to record again. That's the thing.
All we need to do, record a different intro to this one and put it out and see if anyone notices.
Yes. See how big the Venn diagram really is. Is it a circle?
And then, last but certainly not least, hi Malky.
Hi, I'm Malky. I'm a graphic designer, so I do the graphic designing on Shibboleth magazine and for Beer Christianity. Even though most of what Beer Christianity is something you listen to, not something you see.
And you do the adverts on Beer Christianity.
Yeah, I do the adverts, the thumbnails, all the things. And then I do freelance graphic design with the rest of my working time. Some people pay me money for it, and that's nice.
Some people notably don't.
Yeah. And I have a dog and children and one wife, and I like soccer.
Very pointed. The way you said one wife there made it did sound like you were just like, to be clear, I'm not polyamorous. Let's just put that out there, like right early, like very judgmental.
Yeah. At this point in my life, I happen to have one wife.
That's good. That's more inclusive.
Just want to be clear.
It.
I'm more judging the use of the term soccer.
I felt a bit fruity. The World Cup's coming up. We'd obviously call it football.
Yeah. Because all of us are really so into soccer that we would be offended by that.
I'm sorry, but
Heresy. Remove this filth.
I can't have soccer being said more than once, more than no times at all on this podcast.
The soundboard is amazing. That's fantastic.
Wait a minute, is soccer not actually more British? I feel like it was
Whoa.
The
originally.
term is soccer ball. I'm into soccer ball.
Oh, is that right, Jonty?
One of my most disappointing discoveries about Jonty was when I found out he is the one South African who doesn't like rugby. I was really I thought we were going to bond over this, but no.
Yeah. Sorry, man.
The only sport I've heard Jonty get excited about is fencing.
No, there's another one. Paddle, is that not correct? Are you not getting into paddle?
I wanna try and do some paddle, but actually I went to go and watch synchronized swimming at the London Olympics, and I fucking loved it. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, what's not to love, to be fair?
But found in kitchen.
I still think that is the most impressive sport at the Olympics because they do everything anybody else can do, but they also have to hold their breath and smile, and that's incredible.
That's such a blazing hot take and completely unexpected. Like, of all the things I thought you might possibly start like getting really passionate about, synchronized swimming was nowhere on that list for me.
Yeah, I feel like the fencing thing and being slightly posh and being like, I have strong opinions on which is the best weapon in fencing, which I think means you're into fencing.
I didn't even know there were multiple choices, so that's how ignorant I am about fencing.
Well, see, you got your foil, you got your épée, and then you got your saber, and that's the best.
Okay. I don't know what any of that means, but I don't think I'm ready to learn, if I'm honest.
It's not worth it, man. It's really not.
Do they ever do teams? Is it always one-on-one? Do you get like five-a-side fencing?
If not, trademark. Like, we're copywriting that here and now.
It's an excellent plan.
There's something very cool about fencing, though, and that is that it's a co-ed sport.
Absolutely. I have had
That's
my
true.
ass handed to me by many women while fencing.
And while not fencing.
And while not fencing. And we'll leave the joke there.
Yeah, well done. Look at that self-control, Jonty. You're growing every day.
Thank you.
So, yeah, very excited to have you guys with us. We're going to talk a little bit, as we often do when Jonty jumps on, about the new issue of Shibboleth magazine, which I even bought a copy of upstairs with me when I came up. So this is...
Nice.
Look how beautiful that is. For those of you that are normal and don't watch podcasts on YouTube, that is a copy of the new magazine that I'm holding up. Adam's in there. I'm in there. At least one previous guest of the podcast, not Jonty, another previous guest of the podcast is in there. So that Micah for the Word in Black and Red is in there. So, yeah, really exciting. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the big ideas in that about despair and hope and kind of responding to the evil of the world. But before we get stuck into that, we will start, as we always start, with what else is on my mind, Grapes.
Are we not doing drinks first?
That's such a good point. I apologise. This is because I forgot to write any notes for this episode, so we're really flying by the seat of our pants on it. In the Beer Christianity tradition, I have to ask, what are you all drinking? And I have to start with Laura because I know for a fact that you have really represented today.
Oh, for the first time ever on a podcast, I'm drinking beer, which listeners of Beer Christianity will know that I never drink beer. And you know what? It's been so fucking long since we recorded that I have grown a liking for beer in that time.
Wild
So
scenes.
now I like beer. I also have to hand, just in case I finish the beer, I have a VK from a party at Malky's house that I was not in attendance for. And yet I have a VK from that party in my fridge still.
Interesting.
This is from your
Impressive.
40th birthday party last year, which I think you're almost 41?
Yeah, in a couple of months. And I don't remember having any alcohol pops.
To Jonty's leaving party in October, and it's been in my fridge since then. So maybe this will be the day.
That suggests you're not a big VK's fan to me.
I mean, who isn't 16 is?
Yeah.
Maybe Michael Malky, clearly, because he had them at his party. But
To be fair, there were a lot of 16-year-olds drinking at that party, so I think that's probably...
Let's not even delve into that at all.
yeah, that's not.
Adam, what are you drinking?
So I looked high and low, long and hard to try and top last time's drink. And and I couldn't do it. So it's not as good as the last one, but I did find something that I thought was a really good kind of metaphor for kind of what we're doing on this podcast, and that is Red Thunder.
Nice.
What is Red Thunder?
Nice. It's like pussy.
Yeah.
You might have to clarify that joke, Jonty.
Yeah.
Oh, we do need context, actually. We do need context.
I mean, I do also have some pussy. So. I actually bought 3 different drinks until I found the right one. Because at one point I was like, well, I can't just have pussy again. The joke's been done.
Although it's still funny every time you say it, to be fair.
Yeah, that's true. But I thought, what's the, like, let's try and think outside of the box then.
As it were.
And see what's available at this shop. And I thought, well, instead of going funny, maybe we'll go in honor of one of our guests. And I thought, well, there's a Scot on the podcast, so we'll get some Iron Brew.
Nice.
But then I
There you
went
go.
into Aldi and I found some Red Thunder, and I thought, you know what, that is what we're doing on the podcast. We are Reds thundering. I mean, some of us are, black and red, but
Yeah, I mean, if the Iron Brew is representing Malky, I'm concerned to know which one out of me and Jonty is the pussy and which one's the Red Thunder.
I think we both know I'm the pussy.
Yeah.
Jonty, what drink are you having?
I am drinking hot chocolate. I've been outside at a book fair where I've been trying to sell Shibboleth and my novel, and it was freezing cold. And so I'm drinking hot chocolate with South Africa's own Amarula in it.
Lovely.
Amarula
Very
cream, which is kind of like Bailey's, but I think a little bit nicer because I'm in South Africa currently. So that's what I'm drinking. And I have the Amarula as a backup for when I finish this hot chocolate, but it's delightful.
So, sorry, are you putting the Amarilla in the hot chocolate?
Yeah, baby.
Okay, then said it was a backup, and I was like, I thought you were mixing it. That confused me for a moment there.
Oh, no. I've got it for as well.
On top of, yeah, okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Malky, what are we drinking?
I'm drinking orange Fanta because I'm a child. And I didn't think, we're not on Beer Christianity. I didn't think of getting a performative drink. I did think of...
Performative drinking.
I assumed we'd all be...
family's parties, to be honest.
I assume we'd all be talking about our favourite type of breads.
Okay, yeah,
so-
good question. What's your favourite type of bread?
I picked up a nice seeded granary. Yeah, but I can't eat it during the podcast, so
Yeah,
I'll
that's
wait
good.
till we're finished and then I'll just eat it all.
Well, you can.
Yeah. Don't encourage that.
Some
Don't
ASMR.
encourage it. You said that, Adam, like you wouldn't be the one absolutely freaking out if he was eating it on microphone.
Oh, I would leave. But other people like it.
I had one of Lidl own brand Sotma, which is the fake like Copperbergs that they have in Lidl. But I finished it by the time we started, and I genuinely was like, I don't think I've got a second one in me. And that is how sad my life. I genuinely stood at the fridge and was like,
This is like a repeat of the last time we did this, Ben.
I think I may have genuinely given the exact same answer last time.
No, I think to be fair, I think you're better than last time. I think last time was like, do I want a drink? No, I don't want a drink. And this time you have actually had a drink.
Welcome to the slippery slope.
I mean, I feel like I'm pressuring you. I don't even drink, so you know.
Yeah, it's like,
But everyone else should.
Right. Having done that, thank you for reminding me, Adam. Shall we actually talk about what is on your mind, Grapes, Adam?
What else is on my mind, Grapes?
Yeah. So Kemi Badenoch has. Who?
Yeah, as I
she's
say, can you
been,
clarify for anyone who's forgotten who Kemi Badenoch is?
So Kemi Badenoch is the current. I don't know if you knew this. She's the current leader of the Conservative Party. Heard of them?
At this point, you might have to
Remember
clarify who the Conservative Party is. Yeah.
I remember them, yeah.
Hi, folks. Future Adam here. Well, past Future Adam. Or present Adam. I don't really know. But what I do know is that we recorded this a while ago, so the news cycle has long since moved on. We're sorry about that. We're trying a new recording schedule that means that we should be able to release episodes a bit more consistently, but some stories might be a little bit older than we'd like them to be. That is, I'm afraid, the nature of amateur podcasting, so please do bear with us. Unless you're a multi-squillionaire, in which case patreon.com/bread and rosaries is how you can help us get episodes out a bit quicker. Do stick with us though, because I think this discussion is still interesting. And as always, thanks for listening. So she's been doing the rounds talking about how the UK is a Christian country and she's proud of it being a Christian country, or even though she herself is not a Christian, she's an agnostic, she lost her faith. For I think an understandable reason, actually, in one respect. But she's been basically going around talking about Christianity. She's had an interview with Amal Rajan. She's met with the Archbishop of Canterbury and put a post up talking about how proud she is that Britain's a Christian country. And then she also had an interview with Piers Morgan saying words to the same effect. And I find all this both interesting and concerning for obvious reasons, I think, at this point, because Kemi Badenoch is clearly using Christianity to further a particular right-wing narrative. And where have we seen that before? Constantly. I mean, there was a relatively recent issue of Shibboleth magazine about such things, which people should definitely go and read. But I think it's fascinating because I listened to the Piers Morgan interview because I hate myself, and she did this whole long interview with large parts of it talking about how keen she was to go to war against Iran, and the justification she gave for it was essentially America is an ally. I mean, it's this realpolitik thing. America is an ally, Iran is an enemy. Therefore, we go to war against our enemy with our ally. Which is, the justification for going to war and killing people. Of all the justifications I've ever heard, that might be the worst. Yeah, and so she's done this long interview about all of this nasty stuff, and then started talking about Christianity, how important it is, how she will fight for Christianity, Christian values, she's a cultural Christian, all the rest of it. And I'm just fucking fed up with these politicians who, like, freely, whether or not they freely admit to not being Christian, are going around talking about how fucking brilliant it is and how we should all be, you know, proud of being Christian when they haven't got the first clue what it is. And I know that there's a side of that where, okay, you know, if someone says they're a Christian, and there are some really terrible people who claim that label, and maybe we shouldn't disown that, we should embrace it, whatever. I'm just fed up with people like Kemi Badenoch, who is not a Christian, kind of telling us what Christianity is, and it's a version of Christianity that's really fucking awful.
Yeah.
I think we should all take bets and see how long it takes for Keir Starmer to start doing this, because it's in the pipeline, surely. How long is it going to be until Keir Starmer starts being like, well, we're a Christian country, and I can't do the accent.
He's definitely signalled in that direction. He's definitely done it a little bit.
It soon, isn't he?
Yeah. I mean, they're all at it, really,
such
aren't they?
unpleasant things.
Well, to be fair, though, I mean, he ain't going to be
it.
there much longer, so is he going to have a chance to do it?
That's true. Yeah.
Well, he's got to set up a career next to Russell Brand, though, no?
Maybe Russell Brand will baptise him.
Oh, God.
But it's I'm intrigued as to what it means, because I think, like, if I think back to, like, growing up, what was Christianity? So it was either the conservative Christianity that I grew up with, the proper quote unquote proper Christianity, where you're an evangelical and you know believe in Jesus to died for your sins and you're going to heaven, etc., etc. Or there's this other version of Christianity that's a cultural Christianity that's a bit like your jolly local vicar. But what that is like, well, that's
Anglicanism.
that's nice.
Sorry.
Yeah, but it's like nice. It's like nice, like ethical, compassionate, charity type stuff. So, what's the third version that Badenoch's thinking of?
But I think it's the same one that you see with like the supposed revival that we're seeing, and Christian publications and media platforming people who are theists at best, and it's anything conservative that harkens back to some kind of conservative golden age where we have authority in the form of religion and authority in the form of a hierarchy of races and genders and sexualities and all that sort of stuff. It's like whenever I see people talking about, a return to faith, now I used to get excited about it because I was like, well, these people are going to get transformed by the Holy Spirit and we're all going to become liberatory. Now I'm like, oh no, this is just red pill signaling. It's saying traditional values. It's got that kind of vibe to it. Of there's now that third stream of traditional values Christianity, which basically means everything from being a Nazi to a trad wife. Not that that's a long, distance, but that kind of vibe, and it's horrifying the way it's being misused.
Yeah, but I also don't think that is a million miles. Like, I think, Malky, you've outlined two versions of Christianity, but I'm not sure that there are two versions of Christianity. I mean, in one respect, I think there are a million versions of Christianity. But what I'm really getting at is that kind of happy, jolly Anglican vicar, cultural kind of going to village fates kind of Christianity is often part and parcel of the conservative, weirdo, bordering on fundamentalist Christianity. It's not always that, but I think though both of those versions are kind of what people are imagining when they're talking about it.
Yeah, and there's that classic, what was it? The Church of England is the Tory party at prayer kind of thing. That, nuclear family and all that.
Not to be the guy who's always quoting Marx, but there's a very good Marx quote about the Tories in England long imagined that they were enthusiastic about monarchy, the church, and the beauties of the old English constitution until the day of danger wrung from them the confession that they are enthusiastic only about ground rent. And I really think that's going on with Kemi Badenoch. Like, I think she's fundamentally enthusiastic about, like, making money from an unequal economic system, and that everyone should do that. And she knows she has to imagine to be passionate about the church and the monarchy and whatever, but she's just very unconvincing about doing that. Right? I think she is similar to Starmer in that they're both just incapable of convincing us that they're serious about anything that they say. And I think a lot of people have kind of played this game, but she's just notably bad at pretending that it's actually all about Christianity and the English way and all of that sort of thing.
Because there's a sense that none of this has anything actually to do with Christianity. It's about getting votes. That's what this is. And it's Kemi saying that Reform are going to get votes from people for claiming Christianity, because that's what Tommy Robinson is all about. I know he's not in Reform yet, but I assume Farage has been talking about this. I mean, he's been talking a whole lot of shit this week, so let's assume so. And yeah, it's got nothing to do with what they perceive as Christianity. It's got everything to do with winning votes, and it's not working. And it hasn't been working this is what baffles me, is that this doesn't work. And you can see it doesn't work, because when you're talking about what Labour are doing, and they are trying to posture themselves as more right-wing to get right-wing votes off Reform, because we must be Reform, la la la. But they're not losing votes to Reform, they're losing votes to... No, wait, they are losing... Oh, I forget the thing, but they are... It's not working, is the point. Of they are not losing gaining anything by doing this. Everyone's still going to reform. All these reform people are so entrenched in reform that I don't think there is actually anything that they can do at this point other than dramatic left-wing swing that could actually make a difference in the country at least. I don't know whether it would gain votes back, but this isn't going to get votes from reform, I don't think. And if
Gentlemen,
they want to change,
this is Democracy Manifest.
Sorry, I
succulent
thought that
Chinese
one was
meal.
apt.
What is the charge? Eating a meal? A succulent Chinese meal?
incredible. So
Adam is so in love with his sound. When he genuinely was like researching what like podcasting platform is used to record, he was like soundboard. It might, like, as long as I can use my soundboard, it doesn't matter to me.
incredible.
Ben,
I love it.
I have news for you, Ben. I have figured out a way to increase the number of buttons on the soundboard.
Oh.
And what I mean by that is I'm going to have an external program running with extra buttons linked into the podcasting platform that I will use instead of the one we've already got built in.
This is a wild level of professionalism with podcasting. We record on Zoom.
None of our technology is good enough.
I mean, I feel like I'm professional in every other way. As long as I get my soundboard, I don't care.
So I think that's probably a good moment to transition to talking about how we deal with the evil in the world, talking about the desperate attempt to appeal to reform voters. And yeah, that is kind of broadly speaking that kind of the big idea, I guess, behind the most recent issue of Shibboleth is these questions of, what do we do responding to the tyranny of evil men, which I think is really, I don't know, I find that a very interesting question, and I think one that I've not always found particularly compelling answers for. And so, yeah, I think it's a really interesting topic. So I don't know if it's possibly on for you, Jonty, but what kind of prompted this as a topic for the issue?
I think we were watching, as we have all been for the last few years, the horrors in Gaza, watching it extend to Lebanon and then into Iran, watching our government do nothing to stop any of it, but actually cheering it on to an extent, watching comment sections on any part of the internet just go wild with their applause for Islamophobia and transphobia and new laws coming in everywhere in the supposedly free, supposedly democratic Western world, making things harder for women, for people who do not fit into cisgender binaries, people who are queer, Muslims, anybody who stands against this kind of violent, paternalistic, or just aggressive and brutal imperialism that we're seeing. Like, all of us watching these terrible things, feeling like, in one sense, the world is on fire, recognizing that in other parts of the world has been on fire for a very long time. We're just starting to feel the heat, smell the smoke, whatever you want to. I don't want to sound like The Rock here, but you kind of get all of that that horror, and you start wondering how can I respond? You don't want to center yourself in it, but at the same time, your mental health is taking a savage beating. You're losing hope. You're starting to flirt with actual genuine despair in a Catholic sense. You're having a really tough time just coping. And then we just wanted to examine it without coming up with any answers, because I don't think there are any answers. And so we've got pieces that are talking about just a sense of rage. The Tyranny of Evil Men, I think, was a little sly reference to Pete Hegseth, quoting Pulp Fiction during what was supposedly a devotional service. So we've got the Tyranny of Evil Men in there, but also this is the Tyranny of Evil Men. I don't want to get into any kind of gender essentialism here, but that is what's happening, and trying to find hope doesn't always happen, and sometimes grief is okay. In fact, sometimes grief is holy. So that's kind of how we landed up on that. And we've got some wonderful pieces in there. Joy Brooks wrote a wonderful piece just meditating on trying to find it again. No spiritual bypassing, no simple or simplistic answers, but just, really interesting stuff. A lovely piece from Mark Woods on Job, which is really interesting as well, because I don't think Mark necessarily shares, my politics exactly, but is just a really solid, good dude and a very thoughtful man. There's just a lot of great stuff, and obviously talking to David Hayward, who is Naked Pastor, the cartoonist, about some of these issues as well, and about where he finds hope. I don't know. It's not like it's a gestalt hope happening here, but there is something in that you can kind of immerse yourself in and go, okay, all right. At least I'm not alone. At least this isn't an unreasonable way to be thinking about and feeling about the world. And that was kind of the vibe behind it.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. Almost in the way you're describing it, kind of finding that balance between despair and hope. And I can almost kind of see you kind of steering between those two of like, I don't want to just fall into a pit of despair, but I also don't want to offer a kind of cheap false hope, right? Like that kind of, easy answer, slap a Band-Aid on it, it's all going to be fine in the end, we'll get pie in the sky when we die, so don't even worry about the genocide approach, right? Like it's hard to find that honest but also like not completely despairing approach to it.
Yeah, and I mean, one of the things on the contents page, I remember we put a thing that was going through the stages of grief, which we'd crossed out a bunch of them and then we'd ended with action. And I think some of this should be spurring us to action, but also some of us are exhausted. And so even that, while yes, action is necessary, and but we don't want to fall into a thing of even my joy is an act of resistance. Yeah, but there are other acts of resistance that we could also be undertaking. But it's kind of being kind to yourself, being real with yourself, and just recognizing change needs to happen. Adam's holding up the back page. The back page is a lovely little thing that you can find if you buy the magazine, and it'll tell you some of the things that some people are doing that we could not either condemn or endorse.
And those are entirely neutral air horns, to be clear, from a legal perspective.
Absolutely. We neither affirm nor condemn the actions that some people have taken.
They're the same air horns we use for Palestine Action for much the same reason. They're entirely neutral air horns.
Yeah.
Right? I think it's really, really interesting. And I guess there's something, people talk about the idea of this being like a live streamed genocide in Gaza, right? Like, and actually what that does, I guess, psychologically to us. And I guess I know that I am prone to the odd bit of despair. I definitely don't always find, and I wonder how much that is a reaction to kind of having been brought up in that kind of world that was very like everything's going to be all right in the end. But I guess it's very hard to look at everything going on, climate change, Gaza, national politics in this country, and not end up in a state of despair. And so I don't know if anyone else feels that way and how they might kind of, I don't know, approach that question of dealing with despair.
Well, I think this. I was going to just avoid the question more, and then you can come in with the answer,
I just interrupt
Laura.
people. That's how I do it.
Malky does love speaking over women.
Yeah, but I will go first. Damn, I forgot what I was going to say now. No, I was going to say that often, I don't know if this is a conscious motivation, Jonty, but it seemed to come out, or maybe it's just my takeaway from when we put together the magazine, of like so much as a reaction or response to that kind of toxic Christianity that certainly I grew up in, of those two things like Jonty alluded to, of it's funny, on the one hand, disengaging and the spiritual bypassing, where you don't really take it to heart and you don't really have empathy, you skip over that, or the going to action, like it's all on me, I need to change the world, I need to be a history maker, I need to bring the gospel somewhere, and that'll change everyone. or something. So it's trying to
If
kind
anyone
of.
else is the same age as me, we've got the Delirious song going in our head now. Like, as soon as it hits
I wanna be
yeah.
To this day, Delirious might be the band I have seen the most in my life, and I obviously haven't seen them since they broke up, like well over a decade ago.
How many of those were the farewell tour?
They've got a lot to answer for.
Yeah. Sorry, Malky. I was in my brain and I had to share it with everyone.
Well, that's it. It's that burden that we've all been given as a child that I need to go and leave this venue and be a history maker somehow.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it does. I mean, the fact that song came to your head and it came to mine as well, and it may have come to other people's heads here. Yeah, like, it really does say a lot, doesn't it, about what you're saying there, Malky? Like, this stuff really worms its way into your kind of psyche, I suppose.
Not into Laura's, you godless heathen.
Yeah, sorry.
You child.
I definitely feel like I have gone through a phase of like deconstructing myself from certain labels I would call myself in like an activist sense as I've got older, in terms of like, as a kid, I think I would always say that I was formed a lot by, more so than my church experience, but for my experiences on the internet of being in a very kind of like social justice warrior space on God's holy land that was tumblr.com. And that, like, you know, getting into, I'm not saying that I was an activist at that time in my life. I am in no way near a Greta Thunberg when I was 13. But you know, you take that on as your label, and you're like, yeah, like, you know, this is what we stand for. We stand for equality of all people. We stand for, you know, it's so fine to be gay. Like, why is everyone being so bad about gay people? Like, la la la. Like, I'm a feminist. I'm so angry about the fact that you're like talking down to me as a woman. Like, la la. And then, you know, and now I'm like, I would struggle to call myself a feminist, if I'm being honest, because I'm like, to me, feminist, not because I am, obviously Jonty's eyebrows raised, not because I think that, it's because I think that women should be submissive to men. And I really believe my heart is with complementarianism.
Could have fucking fooled me.
I'm out of here. No, I'm not that I'm not a feminist, but because I'm just like, that now has so much baggage to it because of like the white feminism label, and it's like you know, the girl power sort of thing of like, oh wow, like, you know, like, oh, Kamala Harris is the vice president, isn't that wonderful? Like, we must all be so pleased as women.
You can't even call yourself a radical feminist anymore because people think you're a turf.
Yeah. And it's just like, it comes with that baggage, and it's just like, oh, I'm just so tired. Like, I've been trying to wear these labels since I was a teenager, and I know all of us have been trying to wear these labels and hold this, you know, champion this for so long. And like, I think particularly having been in that space when things were so good, actually, like in the mid 2010s, and seeing how far we've fallen from that space, and it's now just like, you know, obviously that is a very, very privileged thing to say. Not everything was good for everyone in the 2010s, but, you know, in terms of like in the UK and in the States, like women's rights, gay rights were much better than they are now, and like we've backslid so far, and like, but then also I'm like, who am I to be complaining of? This is the whole thing. You go down these things, and it's like, oh, I'm so tired, I'm so like exhausted of this. But I'm like, but I can't be tired. I'm not the one who is having to actually deal with this. Like, and those are just the kind of spirals you go through of just like, oh my God, what do I do?
But I think that's fair though. Like, I think there's something to that thing of, you know, I mean, I have to say, like, I think Ben knows better than anyone here. Like, I've at every stage of my life, I've had some things to deal with, right? But like, you know, 10, 15 years ago, I definitely have more capacity than I do now, because, you know, you're young, you're almost excited, and you're indignant, and you're enraged. But then, you know, you get older, and, you know, you have to get a job, and you're exhausted, and the rent is due, and the cat's vomited on the carpet, and all the rest of it. And it doesn't, I think you reach a point where it feels like there's just life is such an onslaught. It's kind of hard to join an org and, go and do Food Not Bombs and, edit a magazine. And of course, some people manage that better than others. But yeah, no, there's something to that. But what I would also say is so much of that, of what you've just talked about, I think, with the backsliding as a society and so on, I think that's because so much of the progress that we made was built on that liberal feminism, wasn't it? And that liberal kind of just liberal ideals in general, rather than actually getting to the radical root of what's wrong in the world and what needs to happen. And I'm not saying that I have all the answers for that. But, there are smarter, wiser people than I who definitely do. And you should go and read them.
Yeah, none of them are here.
Hey.
Oh yeah, as if you remember anything that you wrote, Jonty.
I don't have to remember it to know it's gold. Come on.
Yeah, but to be fair, Jonty, at the start of this, you said, and we don't have any answers in this magazine. So.
That is true. Yeah. I mean, that's obviously a lie. You know what? One of the things that has continued to annoy me from when I was a fairly conservative, theologically evangelical to now is people who are like, and the important thing is not to come to an answer. And I'm like, motherfucker, actually, it's quite helpful to have an answer occasionally. It's to pick a side, to say some things are fucking wrong, some things are better. Just fuck. I don't have any strong opinions on it, obviously, but yeah.
I mean, fuck you is a full sentence. It's an answer in and of itself, isn't it, sometimes?
For real. Oh, yeah.
I mean, one of the answers that I found in the mag, Jonty, it needs to be a clickbait. The only answers you'll find are in Shibboleth magazine. And the only way to obtain it is to buy a print magazine.
Yeah. Ineffable and eternal answers.
One of the things that kind of came through to me, which again is going to be a non-answer, but like this idea that it's not results based. Like if it was results based, then we would pack up, because another thing that I thought of, Adam, as you were talking about, that sort of activist as you're younger and excited and like, oh, an election, let's get into politics, and just like every 4 years getting battered is difficult. And I'm not just talking about the World Cup, but the notion that like even if we lose, then it's still something I want to be doing, and even if you never bear fruit from it, it's the right thing to do, that notion of fighting the good fight and reading about people who are also doing it in a much more profound way than me, I find inspiring.
And actually, like, I think there is fruit that you can witness to in that as well. It's not always the fruit of, Jeremy Corbyn's prime minister now or whatever. Sometimes it's, sorry, as my cat drapes his tail across the screen. But there is fruit to bear from that stuff. And I see that with, I'm not as involved as I'd like to be right now, because I am dealing with landlord issues. But, there's a strong anarchist movement where I live, and it's cool. Like, you do see the results of what they do just in people's lives and in like improvements in like the community in general and people getting along and stuff like that is real fruit, It
is something that, not to be super lame about our magazine, but also we do need to sell the magazine, so please do buy it. But it is definitely something that I know we all feel when we are putting an issue together. I feel like we will have like, I don't know, like a few months of it, like there'll be stress of like, okay, we need to get all these people in, we need to like wait, remind this person to get back to us, and then we'll be briefing and and then we'll all kind of go, this is really good, guys. And that is always really quite nice to be like, I think we've got not this issue, but issue 7. There's a church in the States that we covered for Broad Churches, which is the column that I write mostly, and they were doing some really great stuff, like with ICE in their not with ICE, against ICE in their
To be clear.
in their city. And we found another American church I hope are going to be in issue 9. They seem up for it, so that's good. But that I always
You're really
find
trying
really
to break America,
They're trying to break
you?
America, but also it's
American
nice.
market.
We need some money, Adam. We need some fucking money.
But also, I find it really nice. I think it is it is a really nice column to do, to find churches that are. And the way when we find this would be the only second one in the States, but it's nice in the States to be like, oh, like there are churches like this that are, despite what we're hearing about Christianity in the States, there are people who are actually fighting the good fight, who are welcoming and inclusive and affirming and not letting everything else get them down, which is really, really encouraging to see, and as well as all of the affirming and wonderful churches in the UK that we also feature. And if you want to be featured, then you should email us, because I am always trying to find churches to cover. So, but it is always really nice to, and it's not just because of us; it's because all of the wonderful people who are doing really good stuff and writing for us and doing actual good God's work in the world. And it's like, okay, there are other people out there who are doing actual good stuff and fighting the good fight, and that is always really, really nice.
And it's interesting, Laura, like because it's not actually a strategic thing that we're targeting US churches.
No,
it's genuinely just trying to find.
That's the truth.
It's trying to find, good inclusive churches, which is hard, sadly, but also the live situation in the States now of rights being eroded, and with that one, as you mentioned, of literally protecting people from ICE. Like, it's amazing. It's on the front lines of where stuff's really rough for people,
And that stuff is, I think, part of the reason why we do the magazine, right? Is to give people a little bit of hope, to go, it does exist. There are churches that are not being fuck dicks about the whole thing. Fuck dicks, that's a thing. There are churches that you could warm to when you find what their attitude is to a whole bunch of stuff, that they're actually doing good things in the world. You can read articles if you're a queer person struggling with your faith identity, and in every issue there's a queer person talking about their faith journey, and like, that's important. And I would obviously sooner circumcise myself with a rusty spoon than be a person who only wants to purvey good news, because I am at core a hater. But I do think that's really important as well, is just showing people that they're not alone, that not everything is wolves at the door, not everything. So much of the world is on fire, but there's people planting trees as well, and that's incredible.
And you saved that stuff for the news pages, Jonty, of just like, hey, everything's fucked, guys.
The news pages are fucking depressing.
Yeah,
they are, but they're very helpful.
That's true.
I think there's something as well about even just the experience of, like, the thing of, like, you're seeing something and you're like, am I crazy? And, like, I think about it happens sometimes at work, right, where you're seeing something and you're new in a job, right, and you see something and you keep thinking, well, that's absurd. Like, what is going on there? But everyone seems fine with it, and then you, like, have a conversation with one person who is like, isn't it mad that this thing happens? You're like, yes, oh my God, that, like, I'm so glad someone else is seeing how mad, and actually you feel so valid, even if you can't do a damn thing to change that thing. And I think, politically, and for those of us who are kind of politically on the left and also still Christian, like, that is a weird position to be in. And there is something about finding that other people, like enough people to fill several issues of a magazine, are at least wrestling with these same questions. They might not think exactly the same as you, but they at least acknowledge that the questions are there, that actually the question of actually how do Christians respond to all of this in a way that isn't just sickly hope that doesn't actually mean anything. I think there's almost, you don't have to provide any more hope than, yeah, okay, we see the same shit that you see, and we're worried and mad and scared about it too. And I think that is as much the way it brings hope, right? Is, you know, that empathy thing of just being like, yeah, man, that does suck. Some things really suck right now. But I'm with you as well.
Yeah, because they want us to feel alone, because then we will feel powerless and we'll just go, you know what, why not? Just give up, just go along with it, join in, whatever. And knowing that you're not alone that's huge for me anyway. I don't know if it is for you guys.
Yeah, especially with the internet, how it is these days. Like, it really got to me seeing much of the reaction to the Henry Novak, the sentencing of the guy and release of the body cam footage, and just how many people online, but Christians, were just parroting Nigel Farage's response. I dared to make a slightly anti-racist comment on a post and got piled on. And yeah, I think the first time experienced just all these. I mean, I don't know if a lot of them were bots or what, but like, yeah, but like, you know, just saying it on a scale of just like kind of normal reform stuff to like super hateful shit, and all of them have got Bible verses in their bio.
Yeah,
you know, which is just.
And you weren't going Malcolm X, you know what I mean? You were like just saying so basically, hey guys, can we maybe not be so racist? And the response was full Oswald Mosley. It was wild.
Yeah. What about the white genocide? Yeah. Mad. And it's like, and then it does make, you know, it makes me go, fuck, like, is this enough? And then you hear the statistics of, reform are leading into polls or whatever. And it's just that sort of, have most people been taken in by this shit? And I find that really difficult, you know?
And there's the sense of helplessness in that, like, I'm not saying the five of us have all the answers and should be in charge of everything, but I'm also not saying that. You see the I don't know, you see like the Labour Party, and like, I'm not saying that like I have the perfect answers, but I think all of us would be like, have you tried trying to win the argument over this stuff? And like, and actually, it drives you mad, because you're like, how can you not see this is like something you could just win, like at least engage in the argument and try and win people over it, rather than pretending that you agree with them, being like, yeah, dude, no, actually that's wrong, but this is why the people you should be mad at are not immigrants, but the like super rich and the people that are doing wage theft and the people that are supporting genocide. Like, these are the people you should be mad at, not immigrants. But like, we can't actually do anything to change that big picture, right? Not just the five of us. Like, we don't have the ability to wave that wand, even though we can look at it and be like, well, this is obviously a better way of approaching it. And I guess that helplessness is it's a real thing, right? Like, that it's hard to sometimes know what to do with.
And it sucks as well, I think, because I think certainly from like a church perspective, I do think that we as the progressive church, and you know, the liberal centrist church as well, we are in a way well primed to be the people who are dealing with this problem, in that unless there is a re-education that needs to happen, in a sense of like, these are people who have been let down and abandoned and brainwashed by decades and decades of propaganda. They are saying very idiotic, I'm not in no way excusing any of the idiotic, racist, terrible things that many of them believe and say, but there is we can only overcome the systems that have made that happen if there is unity across more people than there are currently fighting that fight, right? And it is those of us on the left who have to carry that burden, and those of us particularly who are, and rightfully I say this not as a like, oh, must we, but like those of us who are not the people who are put in direct harm by those people, who must and should rightly carry that burden, those of us who carry that privilege of being white, being straight, being cisgender, being all of those things, because we have to tackle it. We have to tackle it. There is, and it does frustrate me, and I get it. I'm not saying I don't get it, but it annoys me when I see the take of it being like, oh, people are just so stupid. People are stupid. Americans are stupid. Like all of this, it's just idiotic. I can't understand it, because yes, sure, it is stupid what they're saying. A lot of them is stupid, but also there is more to it than that, and we cannot just brush off the problem by saying it's just idiocy, it's just stupidity, because someone's got to solve it, and it doesn't look like the people who it is benefiting are not going to solve it, and the people who are still just trying to cling to power and don't really care who puts them there are not going to solve it. And at the end of the day, we are still all human beings, and we have to do the work, and that kind of sucks, because it's always going to be on us. It's always going to be on us. The fight is never going to be done, and it's tiring, and it's always going to be on us, and as it should be, and it is right that it should be, but it also doesn't mean that it's not exhausting.
I've always identified with that parable that Jesus tells about, like, the guy who's like, yes, Dad, I'll go do the work right away, and the guy who's like, no, I'm not going to do it, but actually goes and does the work. Like, and there's something to me very, I identify very heavily with the guy who was like moaning the whole time, but ultimately goes and does the things that need to be done, right? Like, and I think there's something very like, I don't know, like real about that. Like, I've never met anyone who's getting the real work done who isn't also mad that they're having to get the work done.
Also, there are those of us who like moan and don't get the work done as well.
Yeah.
Like,
You're the real heroes.
Like,
yeah.
You're just the very worst.
And yeah, I think it's an interesting question actually about like, I guess almost like, is hope a necessity, or can we kind of, can that despair or that pain or that kind of just response to suffering and maybe that knowledge that we kind of always end up losing, which is kind of the story of the left, right? Like, I mean, I hope and pray that one day we'll start winning, but like, defeat seemed to be the name of the game in a lot of ways. But like, do we need to be hopeful, or can we get shit done from a place of despair?
A lot of the anti-apartheid activists didn't think they were going to win. I don't think a lot of people who were against slavery thought they were going to win. I mean, some of them did for sure, but I don't think. I think some people need hope, and if you need hope, find a way to get hope. Some people, Che Guevara said revolution is motivated by love. If it's love that motivates you, love for the people that you are going to ultimately save from this hideous fascist threshing machine, then let love be your motivator. Some of us, it's going to be ideology of like, no, we need to do this because logically, if we don't, this is what will happen. Whatever gets you there, to help in whatever way you can. And if you get exhausted, take a break and then come back. Don't get complacent. Don't get I don't know, what's the word? I want to say denunciatory, and that's definitely not the right fucking word, but you know what I mean? Don't get into despair and self-loathing about you're not doing enough. Do what you can, say what you can, try. I think that's the key here.
I think that spiral is, I think we've touched on it already, but that is, I think the flip side of it, right, is like, I think it's possible, like, I like what you said about, actually we're not motivated by hope so much as love. I said what you said, what Che Guevara said that you've like quoted, but
I mean, Che kind of anticipated me, really. That's
I do see you as the modern Che Guevara. That's
Seems like a lot of running to be honest.
Don't say that to him. Don't say that to him.
I have that a bit of that quote on a tote bag that I got for like being a supporter of the Cuban Solidarity campaign, and I use it to put the like recyclable only in a supermarket plastics in, which I feel weird about. Like I needed a bag to put that stuff in, and that's the bag that came to hand. And now looking at it, I'm like, I don't think that's respectable to Shay. Like, I don't think that's what he should have been. His legacy should be.
But also, there's going to be some absolute shitbag centrist who's going to be like, you see, a Che Guevara tote bag. Isn't that just emblematic of everything? Oh, fuck off. I like Ben's way of doing it better than your way of being a dickhead.
But yeah, that kind of spiral of like, oh my God, I should be doing more. Like I should be, doing this. I could do more. Is one that I know very well. And I think the worst part about it is, certainly in my experience, it's unproductive. Like actually, you do less because you spend all your energy worrying about how you should be doing more. But also, like really difficult not to fall into. Certainly for me.
Yeah, and also like as Adam in particular touched on, like we're living under capitalism, and yes, we're all privileged to greater or lesser extents in this podcast, but we're still like we're trying to survive, and pay our bills and look after ourselves and our loved ones. So life is tricky, and especially when you're kind of campaigning for a better world, then you're campaigning against for better conditions, so that you then have the freedom to do this kind of good work,
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a important thing, right? Is that a little bit of we can be upset by the world and accept its horrors, but also kind of acknowledge that we might. Sometimes I think we get too tied up in like saying like, oh, I have all these privileges, and like, do not get me wrong, like that's really important to recognize that and important, but also like I also don't have privileges in other ways, just in the sense of like on a class level, like I am not. There is a big difference between me and the people that own the company that I work for. Right, like, and actually, they don't spend time thinking, I should be doing more. Right, in Dubai, they spend time going, oh, it's a bit hot here. There is an element of having to also recognise you are a victim of capitalism, even if how that shakes out is different and maybe not as intense in other ways.
There's also this is also like the reason, at least in recent years, this is the reason why the left loses. Like we spend so much time like being hard on ourselves, but also being hard on each other about like, well, you're not standing up for this issue, you could be doing better. And like, yes, I agree that there is a place for calling people out in terms of like, but not in like, you don't have to be a dickhead, but like, I think it is fair to kind of say like, to talk to people about it openly and honestly in a safe and helpful space. But also like we spend so much time trying to justify whether what somebody else has done is good enough because of their support for something else, or like that's it, and it's why we lose, is because we don't have. It's why we lose and the right always win, because the right have better comms than us, and it's more easy for them to stand behind a banner of take back control, and we end up splintering ourselves into these purity tests of like, well, you said this but you didn't say this, and like, oh well, all of that stuff, which just it is important to have integrity in what we believe, and it is right that we need to support all class solidarity. We all must be united in that sense, in that space, but also like, let's have grace guys, we can have grace for one another. We are, as you guys have rightly pointed out, all victims of capitalism. We cannot have the capacity to fight all fights at all times. Everyone is an imperfect, flawed human being, and a lot of us trying really hard and making mistakes, and that's okay. And it's okay to do things imperfectly.
I heard Mick Lynch this week. Is that his name? The trade union guy, and he was talking about expanding our term of working class, which was really helpful in terms of like, do you own the means of production? Are you a capitalist? You know, then if not, then you're working class. And it's like, yes, like I think we get trapped. Maybe it's a British sensibility in that class system, in like differentiating between, or desperately not being middle class, or judging people who are like lower middle class or whatever, of being like, you know, so many of us are working class because if we're in that bracket of we're having to go out and work for an employer, you know, so let's stick together.
I think, unfortunately, the banner of take back control is better than our banner of actually control is philosophically quite an interesting concept.
It's such a good line. It's a great line. I can totally see why they won.
But it's an interesting line because, like, actually, are you taking back control by booting people out of this country? Or are you taking back control by introducing democratic controls on production? Are you taking back control?
Immigrants. I knew it was them. Even when it was the Bears, I knew it was them.
Exactly. Like, actually, we probably have an argument about taking back control that maybe is a little more nuanced and like harder to explain a little bit, but ultimately we do want people to have more control over their lives. Like, we want people to have a say in their workplace, in their communities. Like, actually, even just as simple as thing as, like, you should have control over the supply of water that comes into your house that is a basic necessity of life. Like, why is that some faceless company and not something that you have some sort of democratic say over, right? So
communism.
Exactly. Utilities communism, Adam. That's broadband communism, all these things. But yeah, it is, I think, an interesting question of, like, actually, and I wonder again, going back to the idea of despair, about, like, hope is an easier sell, right? And actually, it's not actually hope they're selling, but it's nostalgia, which feels a little bit like there's an inherent hope, even if it's an ultimately frustrated hope, in the idea of we can go back to how you imagine things used to be, right? And maybe we get so caught up in the horrors that we can't actually give our positive vision.
I think it's like, I don't know how many of you have seen 28 Years Later, but there's a lot of, and the first 28 Years Later film, there's a lot of allusions to this imagined England and this nostalgia being weaponized into a quite horrific kind of society. And I think you know, that is not hope. That is how the concept of hope and the concept of nostalgia get weaponized against us. But I also think about the idea of showing grace to people and nitpicking each other and, you know, constantly attacking each other. And I think the purity test thing is used against the left as well by centrists who want to really shift us right. But I think we need to remember that there are actual manuals that have been around since the Second World War of how you infiltrate and undermine a society or a revolutionary movement. And there are people who are hired to go into environmentalist groups and protest groups and pro-Palestine groups and to sow dissent and to sow discord and to make us not very effective. And I think sometimes we just need to be a little bit more discerning and go, is this the biggest fish we have to fry? Checking your privilege, yes. Checking your class solidarity, yes. Checking that your horizon is broad enough, absolutely. But then also going, if the person who is trying to derail us from what we were talking about was being paid to do this, how would they be behaving differently? Asking yourself that question in some of these groups and in some of these moments of the influencers you're watching who you thought were one of yours, and now they're really angry about somebody who seems to be getting a lot of traction and making a lot of progress. I don't want to say we need to be paranoid. I think we need to be gracious with people and recognize that, and not to sound too evangelical about it, but that, if we were, Satan is going to try and sow discord, and we're not of that party.
That was a very holy conclusion there, Jonty. I appreciate that. You have the soul of a pastor, even if you don't unfortunately have the convictions of one. Like this.
Don't tell him that. Don't say these things to him.
I have the arrests, but none of the convictions.
I think we've discussed before that Jonty, Adam, and I all had a dangerous path that we could have gone down of becoming pastors, and we like
becoming a cult leader.
yeah. Like there was a bad version of all of us.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. Like, I was dangerously close. Like.
Yeah. No, I think I'm very specifically saying a pastor rather than the vicar, Adam. Like I am distinguishing the two. Like
a vicars, not pastors, as well.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. You understand the distinction I'm drawing here.
I definitely do. Yeah.
That probably is about as much time as we have. If we want this episode to be somewhat of a manageable length for people to actually listen to.
Edit.
And I don't care about that, that's you.
Wow, okay.
That's the main reason I'm not replacing this laptop, is because currently the laptop isn't powerful enough to edit the show, so I'm off the hook.
We need to have a chat.
It's been an absolute pleasure to have you. A very long time in the offing, but it has been great to finally have you on board. Someone tell us where we can find your various projects out in the world.
Laura.
Shibbolethmag.com. Yes, I think.
Yes.
Yes.
And
correct.
Yes, and BeChristianity.com also.
.co.uk.
Fuck.
BeChristianity.co.uk and shibbolethmag.com.
Why did you tell me to do this bit?
I really thought you'd be better at it.
Because I would also say the last two times Jonty has been on, he has had to clarify what the Shibboleth website was. So you are not alone in not knowing the website.
Okay, good, I'm glad.
We'll put the website in the
I only
description.
learned it for the last episode. Yeah.
Well, we are Shibboleth Mag, at Shibboleth Mag on Instagram, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, which is where we're probably most active at this point in time.
And if you like any of the stuff that we've been saying and you like the perspective we're coming from, which if you're listening to this podcast, I feel like you probably will be, then please do consider subscribing if you can, because it would be really cool to be able to keep this thing going and to share some of that hope that we are trying to do. If you can, there's no pressure. I don't sound like a breadhead or anything. I'm just saying, like, if you can, that's all.
That was
a breadhead. Is that sounds like that's
the name of fans of our
who
podcast,
listen to our
Breadhead Army Rise Up.
Well, it's the name of the fan of the podcast.
Yeah. It's what we call Adam's mum, is what we're saying.
Mate, my mum doesn't listen to this shit.
All right, on that note, Adam, where in the world can people find you?
You can find me most places, TikTok, Instagram, other places too, at Commie, XIAN.
Does anyone else want to plug any sort of social media, or are we all hiding from people?
I'm very much hiding from people because the thing that Malky experienced recently, I go searching for quite often, and it's not good.
I was just visualizing the tumbleweed going across after you asked that question.
Yeah. I wanted to make the offer. I thought it was only Adam who likes to put himself out there publicly on the internet now. I
think the thing is, I've got to the point in my kind of social media thing where I've got a few followers on TikTok, and I've had so much shit on there that it is literally everything is water off a duck's back now. I do not give a shit.
This is an important question, and I know I was ending the podcast, but I don't know, have you had any hate mail for Shibboleth yet? Have you had anything come through of you should be ashamed of yourself or anything like that?
I've had a couple of comments, right?
Yeah, I think that'll be a sign of success. I
Yes,
think if
absolutely.
we're big enough
Yeah.
to start pissing off the mainstream
Maybe
evangelicals.
we could send one.
Yeah.
Please do. That'd be so fun.
Just to encourage you. Send you your first piece of hate mail to encourage you.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that's probably more likely to come from the left. To be like, hey, you platformed this person who once said this.
I never worry when we're putting this magazine together. I never worry. Oh no, some right winger is gonna, because I feel pretty confident. But I know some fucker is gonna come at us from the left at some point, and that gives me sleepless nights sometimes. So yeah,
We're preparing. We're getting ready.
we do get a lot of really positive feedback. Though we've had somebody who said that their faith, that they've maintained their faith because they found in the magazine some hope there. We've had a few people sharing that kind of stuff, which is just incredible.
Yeah, it's
and
beautiful.
feeling like they're not alone. And yeah, that, which is like amazing, because that's, we're trying to make a nice magazine, but we never, that wasn't the ambition, so that's very cool.
And if people do have those nice things to say about us, they should email us and tell us those things. We can put them in the magazine. And if you have complaints that you want us to publish in the magazine, we also won't be doing that. You can send them to us,
What
but
are you
they won't be
doing?
published.
We are not interested.
Well,
Even better than that, though, if they like the magazine, they should buy the magazine.
They should do that. They should do that. At shibbolethmag.com.
And if you hate the magazine, buy it and burn it.
Buy it anyway.
And Malky, I think you're repping some merch, aren't you?
Oh, I am. Yeah, I'm so covered in merch. I'm wearing a Shibboleth hat. This is my I had another nice hat that I wear sometimes when my dog chewed it to bits. So this is now my main hat.
We've got hoodies, we've got shirts.
I'm going to get my merch. 1 second.
I was wearing my Shibboleth hoodie today, and I was wearing my Shibboleth We Are All Palestinians T-shirt the other day. Laura's wearing a Capitalism is the Problem shirt.
Yeah, I have a bucket
love
hat that
that
says
one.
Capitalism is the problem, which for people who know me is one of my favourite things to say.
That is really great. I appreciate that.
My absolute favourite, I don't have the T-shirt to hand right now, but I have a T-shirt with this on it, which is the Christian nationalism is idolatry thing, which you can buy at the Shibboleth shop or merch store. I don't know what you call it. That's
basically
my
Malky's an incredible designer, and you should wear his designs.
Absolutely.
Mostly motivated by Jonty's incredible ideas.
Very kind.
Hey, you should do this.
Let's make out after this.
Okay. And we also need to put more merch up there, don't we, Jonty?
I went to try and find the T-shirt because I also have that T-shirt, and I accidentally pulled the whole drawer out of my chest of drawers. So I'm going to stop dealing with that right
now. I think on that note, we might just have to call it a day. Subscribe to Shibboleth, breadandroses.com. Get in contact with us if you have any feedback, thoughts, ideas, suggestions. All the details are on the website. And we will see you all next time. Thank you very much for joining me, everyone.
Thanks for having us.
Bye, thank you.
Bye.
See you later.
Bye.